So I've got new fitness plans for 2024. Fitness, people. Fitness. I'm not in the shape I need to be. I will get in the shape I need to be. I have a plan. I've done some research. I've done some research around town. I've bought something that should arrive in the next day or two. That's going to be an integral part of my fitness plan. But there's one thing I did not see coming that could derail the entire thing.
Keto people made with real feed, which is a problem because it means it's healthy.
I didn't know the geniuses at Cheetos had invented something so good and so healthy and so nutritious as these Cheetos cheese puffs. This could derail the entire thing.
I never saw it coming at all.
It's a problem. It's my wife on the phone. She has been talking shit all morning about her Antarctica work. It is unbelievable. It is relentless. It is like a glove on me every time I open that door and go in that room. She's at her laptop in the kitchen table and she's editing her Antarctica stuff. And granted, XT5 100 to 400 nailed it. She nailed it. Her work is better than mine, at least that part of the equation. I have never seen her or heard her talk shit like this before. And then to make matters worse, she's like, check this out. I go over there and she's like, you want it? You can use it. You can have it. Just tossing me a bone like I'm some junkyard dog that hasn't eaten in a week. Yeah, that's where I'm at. So I'm also writing a letter to my friend Michael, who I basically only correspond with through the mail. We don't talk on the phone. We occasionally will send a text if it's an emergency, but it's all through the letters. Now, he's an artist. He's a writer, a painter, a photographer, primarily a contemporary art painter, and he's incredibly talented. He's so much more talented than I will ever be. So the things that I make for him, the letters and stuff that I send to him, on the back side of the paper is a photo essay that it's about 8 frames that I put together into one frame, short lens, black and white Antarctica work that is printed out on a cheap thermal printer. It's terrible looking, but it's lo-fi and I like it. I flip it over, I put it in the typewriter, and I type down the back of it. I also bought him a Museo Nacional del Belles Arts from Argentina, a little journal book. I bought a couple of these, one for my niece, one for him, and I'll send it to him in the mail. Because typically what he sends me are incredible works of art from the I wonder if I have one around here. I know I do. I have an entire box in my closet of his correspondence. They're gorgeous. Some of them are so beautiful I don't want to open them because I have to like destroy the letter a little bit. But this is what the letter says so far. The trip comes out of right field. A friend with a work connection to the expedition company, same as Baja in 2021. And I accidentally used an I instead of a 1 in 2021. And I cannot for the life of me find the number 1 key on this typewriter. I don't see one. I also can't find the key to back it up at all. So I'm figuring that out. We booked tickets to Buenos Aires and wait to see if we are chosen. A friend comes by the house, famous photographer, who has been to the region nearly 20 times. Quote, the ice will change your life, he says. The company emails and says, you are a go. And now it feels semi-real. We begin the packing process. Buenos Aires is in midsummer and will be running in the 90s. Antarctica, which I misspelled, will be near freezing. My AG23 co-founder, once the CEO of a clothing brand, has loaded me up with the best cold weather kit I could want. It's 5,555 miles from Dallas to Antarctica. Sitting on the tarmac, I see my first new bird species. Overall, I will see 30 new species over the coming 10 days, including the wandering albatross. So that's what I have so far, and I'm just typing that, and there's all kinds of stuff happening. Oh, by the way, just to give you a sample, hang on. Around my desk at the moment. By the way, this office is not a YouTube set. This is not, I don't have colored gels in the background. I'm not lit with a giant softbox. I'm actually lit from a skylight, which is probably not throwing a very flattering light on my face. I could give a shit. I got contact sheets in my immediate vicinity. Sneak peek, ongoing story, birds of prey. Not what you think it is. Not what you think it is. Albania Journal, coming along quite nicely. Coming along quite nicely. This was a thing I put together, just showed it very briefly. This was a call I had with my boss yesterday, who's awesome, by the way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We talked about solved, planned, schemed, and budgeted for 9 different things in less than an hour phone call. That's what I actually do for a living. That's my job. And I don't really share a whole lot of that stuff with you because one, it's for a company and I'm not really sure what I should and shouldn't share. But that's the kind of thing that occupies, and now each one of those 9 things requires conference calls, phone calls, emails, planning, travel, budgets. Some will happen, some won't. What happens will impact what doesn't happen impacts what does, the timing, all of that stuff. So I'm planning now, my life is pretty much mapped out until November of next year, or actually this year. November of this year is where I get a little freedom and I might teach a workshop in Colombia, or I might not. I might push that to 2025 and just try to take my foot off the gas at the end of the year. I don't know, but that's it. And I'm gonna keep sharing a little more of these basic vignettes of my daily life. There's something else going on too that you're gonna roll your eyes, you're gonna say you're full of shit, you're a hypocrite. And but it's not entirely my fault, and I'll explain 2 weeks from now when it will make sense to you, or it might not. But anyway, whatever. When did everyone start dissing on spaghetti? It's like you mentioned spaghetti, and people, all my hipster friends are just up in arms. Oh, I don't eat spaghetti. I could never eat spaghetti. I can only have fettuccine. I've got to have a wide noodle. I can't have the spaghetti. I love spaghetti. I grew up eating spaghetti. I've been in Italy and had spaghetti looking stuff. So I'm not really sure when is spaghetti the Merlot of the pasta world? Just give it up. It's spaghetti. It's all the same stuff, by the way, especially if you buy pasta in America. It's all the same stuff. The stuff that bloats you up and makes you feel like crap after. Have you ever heard the expression, if you can't beat 'em, join 'em? Guess who just took the 100 to 400 XT5 from the wife? It's mine now, baby. It's mine. It's not ours. We can't keep either one of these, but I'm taking it and I'm going to go do a recon mission. If you want to know what I do most of the time, right here. Upgrade to Mac OS Sonoma. That seems like the worst idea of the day. I'm going to wait, let's say, 6 months before I do that. By the way, funny story. Friend with Leica does a firmware update. Didn't end well. This was a couple months ago. It wasn't funny at the time, like haha funny, but it's funny to me now. I don't own any of those cameras, but oh, look at that spread. Can you see that? Look at that image. It's all still on my face because I don't have the autofocus set on face recognition. That is a double truck of orcas in the Southern Ocean. And orcas in the Southern Ocean at this time of year, I'm going to get all this wrong, but there is some kernel of truth to this. They're not black and white. They're sort of yellow and white because they're covered in algae. And the algae does something beneficial, and then as they go further north in the other time of the year and they're migrating and sort of checking it out, Club Med in that part of the world, the yellow wears off and they turn black and white again. Who knew? I came here for a reason. Oh, I got to track a package being delivered today, and It's not that one. And your order will arrive tomorrow. Track order. This is what I do most of the time. I'm doing email, I'm doing admin, it's out for delivery. Email, admin, writing stuff, organizing stuff, planning stuff, travel stuff. It's not that exciting or glorious. And again, I don't have any colored gels. That is a window. I would much, much, much prefer to sit and look outside and have a giant bright office that's cluttered with actual real world working stuff like my journal from Antarctica. Look at that spread. Can you see that? That's a good spread. That is a data-rich spread of notes. 27.8 degree water, 68 feet, 35 minutes. Typical Antarctic dive. If you're a diver, that's typical for them. Fish are rare. Semi-pelagic, rock cod, ice fish, antifreeze. They literally have antifreeze in their blood. This is the kind of stuff that you use when you're making a book. I'm not making some sort of factual, historical reportage about Antarctica. That's not what I'm trying to do. I've only been there one time. That would be kind of obnoxious of me. But some of these little kernels, like I realized the title, last night I might have come up with another title based on listening to a podcast, and the guest being interviewed had just so happened to be in Antarctica at the same time I was. And he's a geopolitical expert, and he was mentioning something, and I was like, oh, that's a really good title. But most of the time, I'm juggling 8 or 10 different things on my to-do list that revolve around Blurb, and then also some of my own projects that are also tied to Blurb, and marketing for workshops in Spain, marketing for workshops in Japan, marketing for my online workshop with Elena that's coming up in a month and a half or so, that we have to design the course and we have to design the presentations and all that. So I don't need colored gels, and I don't need to sit in a dark room, because this isn't really a set. It's a working studio, and I have no intention of ever becoming a YouTuber. So you know what? Glad you're here. Let's talk tech. Let's talk my CF Express card. I think it's magnetized. No? I thought it was. Well, yeah, it is. It is magnetized. Oh, yeah. Anyway, learn stuff every day. So most likely this is completely unusable because of the wind. It's ripping today. So this is a bizarre little film about, people ask me about 3 things. They ask about how to start birding, how to start YouTube, and how to start journaling. I don't want to put all those into one film because too complicated. And some of these, like how to start birding and how to start YouTube, is bizarre that someone would ask me, because I'm definitely not successful at YouTube. Birding is new to me, although I've had a little bit of success and gotten some lucky, so I might have a little bit of insight. I probably have no insight about YouTube other than saying don't do it. And the journaling thing is the really interesting thing. But I'm out with the 100 to 400 in the XT5 before we have to send it back, just to test it a little bit. And that's it. So this could be the birding thing. And birding is pretty simple. Go outside and look up. There's a decision to make on the front end. And by the way, I should have used a neutral density filter. I have it inside. I just got lazy and didn't put it on. So this might, again, be unusable because of the wind and because of the lack of technique and skill involved in knowledge in what I'm actually doing. There's a decision to make. Do you want to photograph birds, or you just want to go birding? There is a lot to be said for just birding with a pair of binoculars and your phone that has the eBird and the Merlin app on there. That is a very enjoyable experience. It's when it comes to photographing birds where all of a sudden you find yourself carrying a lot of stuff that, in essence, if there's no ultimate goal with it, you may not need to. So if you don't want to photograph birds, go buy a pair of really good binoculars. I'm a huge fan of the Swarovski brand. I think they're the best binoculars I've ever seen. I've never owned a pair. I probably never will because they're pricey. But if that's the only thing you have to buy, I would think about it. Zeiss is also good. Leica is also good. Fuji makes good binoculars. Nikon makes decent binoculars. And I would start there. So quite a few of you have written recently, threatening that you are attempting to turn your photography hobby into a career. Now, I don't know how to put this politely, but I think for the vast majority of you, that is a major mistake. And that has nothing to do with you as a human. It has nothing to do with your photographic ability. I think it's mostly due in part to a kind of a profound misunderstanding of what the professional industry is. And again, there's different flavors of that. You could be a professional YouTuber, that's one thing. A professional photographer, that's something else. I get it, but I'm talking about the professional photography part of it. I think a lot of that is misunderstood. Oh, it's gonna be windy. Oh, this is gonna be bad. But here's the thing, the underlying thing. A lot of you, not all, maybe even not many, but surprisingly more than I would have first imagined, can't seem to handle criticism. And I don't mean criticism about you in particular or your work in particular. I'm just talking about any criticism of anyone in the photography space at all. And I do this on purpose. Anytime I offer criticism of something, the first thing I expect are the people to say, oh, you just sound like an old man complaining. But you folks who say that don't even realize that in the process of saying that, you're basically saying I'm a snowflake that can't handle any criticism. So you're trying to jab somebody by saying, first of all, which is kind of an ageist thing if you want to talk about modern culture, calling somebody an old man that's complaining, well, that'd get you fired right there at any job in corporate America today. But at the same time that you're admitting, which is exactly what I'm doing as well, calling you a snowflake, which is going to get me fired in any corporate environment. So the whole thing is just about constructive criticism. And if you can't handle constructive criticism of anything in the photography space, how in the hell are you going to be a photographer when you work with a client and the client says you didn't do a good job, this isn't good enough, do it over, or whatever? It happens all the time. Now, it probably happens less than it used to, and especially the path that I took as a photographer coming from the journalism space. And journalism, there were no touchy-feely things. You didn't win a trophy. These people were not your friends. You didn't get a like button. There was no little heart emoji. None of that. You got like whacked upside the head. My second day on the job, a guy threw a bag of equipment at my head. Did it get him fired? No, the photo editor laughed when I told him. So we went from that era, and I'm not saying that's the way it should be. That's completely flawed in every way possible. But now we've sort of overcompensated. If you can't handle criticism of anything in the industry, I don't think you have any chance of being a photographer. Unless, again, you could be a YouTube photographer, because criticizing anything online is met with just up in arms, upheaval of like, oh my God, how could you say anything negative about anyone? So suck it up, man. Seriously. My nieces are tougher. My 12-year-old niece is a rock. She will tear your heart out and let you watch the last few beats. That's kind of, you gotta adapt a little bit of that edge. License to kill, gophers at will. Nothing to see here, Mr. Gopher. Just Carl, the greenskeeper. That's all I'm doing. Oh, just traipsing through the snow. Ooh, 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 ooh. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Hang on, hold the phone. My neighbor saw a mountain lion, and I think I am looking at, mountain lion tracks in the snow. They are not fresh tracks. They are, I would say, at least 2 days old. But yeah, that certainly heightens the stakes out birding. When you know you could, die at any moment, that would be probably getting caught in the gears of a combine, death by mountain lion. I would say those are in the top 10. Yeah. And when the snow melts, they're a heck of a lot harder to track. I was wrong. I can offer an amazing array of information about birding, which is basically how not to photograph birds. It's not even close. It's a bloodbath. It's a bloodbath. Yeah. No, not happening. Nope, failed again. All the menu options stuff? Should probably do that before you get in the field. Let's recap, shall we? So let's just treat this film as like, whoops, I'm banging around my mic. Let's just treat this film as if it was a advice film about how to get started in birding. Again, make the decision. Do you want to photograph birds or not photograph birds? Not photographing birds, there's nothing wrong with that. It's actually probably a much more enjoyable experience with a lot less failure. And also you need to carry and buy a lot less stuff. And take it from me, who just went to the Southern Hemisphere and basically the Southern Ocean and Antarctica with a giant bag full of equipment. Frankly, I knew halfway through the trip I was never going to do that again. I'm never taking all that stuff. I'm in the process of right now, we are doing a massive gear purge at our house. And I'm getting rid of a ton of stuff, and I'm going to simplify my kit a lot more than it is right now. So if I was just going out to view birds, catalog the birds that I've seen for whatever reason, or maybe just, look at the birds and then attempting to draw them later, whatever, it's a lot easier than making the photographs of the birding. So make that decision. 2, if you are going to go bird, I think the new modern zoom lens is obviously the way to go. And by the way, there is so much incredible bird photography out there already. I have certainly not made any images birding that are beyond anything that millions of other people have done. And there are some birding people out there who are full-time bird photographers that are just staggeringly good. I don't even know how they do what it is they're doing. I don't know how they get in position, how they get so many images sharp, how they're shooting 4K video of moving birds landing on water surfaces and fishing and all this stuff, and it's all tack sharp 4K stuff. I have no idea how they do that. Way better at this than I'll ever be. So those are the decisions to make. The cool thing about birding is you can do it anywhere in the world, no matter where you are. That's one of the best things about it. What I love about it is if I'm on a blurb trip and I'm in Vancouver, Canada at a lecture, I can look outside the door and I can go birding. Walking from the lecture to my hotel, I can go birding. All I need is a pair of binocs and my phone. It's a wonderful thing. And really for me, it's about learning about something I just know nothing about. I'm completely ignorant of the avian world. It's a fun thing to do. So that's number 1. My advice how to get started in birding is to literally go outside your house and start there. Chances are you've got a 10, 12, 15 species of birds, maybe more, depending on if you're in Texas, Arizona right now, Florida right now, California right now, southern New Mexico right now. You're going to have a ton. Arizona in the winter is incredible. Texas coast in the winter is incredible. You're going to get hundreds of species. So it's a blast. It's an endless well of information, and photographically one of the most challenging things I've ever done. Point 2 of this film is you've got to be able to take criticism. If you're going to operate in the photography space, you have to realize, and I'll give you an example. When I had a body of work that I thought was relevant in photography, I thought it was at a level that was a high level, and I thought that this work had legs to it. It had already been published 3 or 4 times editorially. I'd had a lot of interest from people. It was the first body of work that I was offered a book deal by 2 different publishers, one in Europe, one in the United States. So I knew that the work had value. I went to galleries in LA and showed this work, and to put it mildly, being rejected, hearing the word no, that was the least of the trauma. They did not mince words. The one person who was relatively kind and said to me, look, this is good work, but it doesn't fit my gallery. He's a friend. He's one of the best gallery owners in the United States. He happens to be a friend, and he was nice to me. The other galleries were not nice to me at all. And if you think you're going to go out and show your work to 20 galleries and they're all going to say, gee, you're really great, you're a genius, and be nice and cuddly with you, I just think you're completely misguided. I don't think anything in the business world operates that way. And you have to remember, as a working professional photographer, 85% of what you do is business. It has nothing to do with the images itself. It is everything else that revolves around it. It's not sexy. It's not fun. It's not getting easier. That's my opinion. It's not sexy. It's not fun. It's not getting easier. Those are my opinions based on my career from 1988 to 2010. It wasn't getting easier. It wasn't getting more fun. There wasn't more respect for photography. There was more tension, less budgets, less timelines, more people trying to do it, less outlets, all of those things. So if you're thinking of making that jump, that's the kind of things that you have to keep in mind, and you have to have thick skin. You cannot get offended by me saying, hey, a YouTube film that someone sent me is just not interesting to me. If that sets you off, you have absolutely no chance of making it. I don't think just in photography world, just in the world itself, because it's just the way it is. That's the world we live in, unfortunately. It's not Willy Wonka. It's not. I want it to be. It's not.